nearly every day as rebels fight it out in Syria. They're also posting their views on social media. One thing is clear, there is no consensus on what the rebels want the U.S. to do. At issue, the number of different rebel groups operating in the country. A U.S. intelligence official estimated there are some 1,200. One of the largest and most U.S.-friendly Syrian armed groups, the Free Syrian Army, is firmly in support of U.S. military intervention. It sent out this message to the world after the recent political proposal that would see Syria turning over its chemical weapons and avoiding a U.S. strike. It says in part, crimes against humanity cannot be absolved through political concessions or surrendering the weapons used to commit them. In a Damascus suburb, a member of a small neighborhood opposition group said bluntly, "I wish the airstrikes would happen so we can live in peace and good conditions again." But a consortium of more hardcore Islamist rebel groups is firmly against U.S. involvement, including the Al-Ghouta Martyrs Brigades. "We reject the Western military intervention in Syria, and we consider it new aggression on the Islamic nation," they say. The international community knows that the regime is about to fall and knows that the Mujahideen are close to achieving victory. The hypocrite international community does not want this regime to fall. And one of the most powerful jihadist rebel groups that has links to al-Qaeda, the Jabhat al-Nusra Front, hasn't made a direct statement about this week's developments. But in the most recent video, its fighters say they do need help. Just not from the West. Don't listen to those saying the Mujahideen and the Levant don't need the support. We do need the financial support and people to come fight. David Kilcullen, a former counterterrorism strategist for the U.S. State Department and now CEO of the strategy firm Keras, shared what his firm has learned after talking to some of the many opposition groups over the course of the war. He says many rebels feel a strike would have little impact.
So I think people sort of see it as something that's likely to kill civilians, likely to aggravate the regime, but not likely to make their lives better and not likely to, in any measurable way, increase the chances that the regime might fall or that the uprising may succeed. So they sort of see it as, to some extent, very self-indulgent Western activity around a Western agenda, rather than anything that's of benefit to them.
Kilcullen says Western intervention in Syria could have been a unifying force early on, but over the past 18 months, there's been a considerable shift in attitudes, with many Syrian rebels now saying involvement by the West is simply too little, too late. Sarah Sider, CNN, Atlanta.